Hey folks, hope you are doing well. Just wanted to draw you into a bit of a special moment with Amy and myself. My name is Matt. I'm the senior pastor at Zeo Church, as you well know. And this is the amazing Amy the amazing Amy, absolutely, who you well know. We got married just a few months ago.
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago. Not because I'm bored.
I was going to say, is that a good or
just
bad?
because of the circumstances we find ourselves
in. So 7th of February we were married. Some of you saw Amy speak last...
It was December.
It was December, yeah, absolutely. And I guess in a sense, like, we wanted to do this video because what is happening at the moment is not the kind of introduction that we were expecting for you to have to Zeo. And wanted to find other ways of people getting to know Amy, but that's kind of not been possible. And so we thought we'd just do a really short video for you to get to know Amy and a little bit about her story and what she's up to, and so that you can remember her in prayers in this new chapter. Now, before we jump in, can I just make 2 comments about clothing and fashion?
Oh gosh.
Okay. Well, and the first is, like, obviously I received a lot of very positive feedback about my ripped jeans on Sunday. So I'm wearing them again as a big thank you to all of you who commented, thinking particularly David Carter, Robert Powell, others.
And your father-in-law.
And my father-in-law, who did that live. The second thing is, I just want to assure you as well that independently of each other, Amy and I...
We are not twinning.
Like, I put on this T-shirt and you put that on, and then we kind of saw...
I put this on first.
That is true. And then we saw, and then we thought this morning, because we knew that we were going to film this, we were like, oh, shall we change? And then we thought, no, we don't want to, we're not.
Let's embrace
this is not a statement. It's not a statement. We're not trying to do that matching lover thing, none of that kind of stuff. No. But at the same time, we're secure in ourselves to continue to wear what we are wearing.
It's true.
I feel like I'm being very apologetic.
Yeah, I think you've been over-apologetic, but I do just want to make the point that you are more cheesy than me. So if there was going to be any romantic statement, it would be probably your side. Not that I don't love you.
I'm going to take that as a compliment. I really, really am. Yeah. So,
where's his heart in his sleeve?
Anyway, Amy, why don't you just first tell us super briefly, like, what is your faith story? Like, how did you come to know Jesus?
Cool, I will. So I was brought up in a Christian home. So my mum and dad Anglicans. We went to church most weeks. Wouldn't really say it was anything I hugely engaged with, anything that I was massively interested by, until in our teenage years, we as a family went through quite a difficult time. So my mum's disabled, she's got mobility issues, she always has actually. And so when I was younger, I was her young carer. And Dad went through a really quite difficult breakdown in our teenage years, and he was sectioned by the police and lived away from home for quite a number of years because he was at risk to himself and us. So our teenage years were not great in the household. They were stressed and strained. Added to that, really hated school, struggled all the way through education, was bullied quite severely. So all of this framed quite a difficult kind of way for me to understand this loving God and this creative God who was meant to be there for me and present. So teenage years were a little bit wild, didn't always, as you know, I've told it you all, and didn't always do things by the book. Shocked enough that you still love me, so that's good.
Yeah.
Moving back to the story.
Totally.
Not that great. Not always done wisely. I've done things like I'm sure many of us have done that I now regret, but thanks to the grace of God, can walk and stand through them. It was around about Easter, actually, that I was invited to a Christian event called Spring Harvest, which many of us all know. And I went because I fancied a boy. I didn't go because I wanted to learn anything about God. I went because it was free. I was really disrespectful all the way there. I literally just went and drank every night. I didn't refuse to go to any seminars, just was really rebellious until one night I was challenged to go to a seminar, and they were like, listen, someone's paid for your place to go. The least you can do is literally go and attend one of the meetings. And I went and attended one of the meetings. This is brief, by the way. Feel free to ask me more questions. And as I attended that meeting, the person who was on the stage was effectively giving the gospel story and talking about Jesus and God's Son and how he came for us and how he died for us and his love and his grace for us even through the most challenging of moments and times. And so the person said on the stage, you can invite Jesus to be in your life today, and what have you got to lose? Why don't you just ask him to make himself real to you? So I thought, well, I've tried everything. I've gone this way, I've gone that way. I'm angry at God, but it was never that I didn't ever believe. It was just that I struggled with the concept and the understanding of the fullness of who he was. So I just said, okay, God, if you're there, make yourself real to me. And as I said that question, all of a sudden I started to cry. And you know that the wife that you've entered into this relationship with, I'm pretty solid, aren't I?
You are. You
Quite
don't cry
hard.
easily.
No.
Whereas me, surprise,
He's a
surprise, Cilla
weeper.
Black,
He's
I just cry.
absolute weeper.
Literally.
Yeah, it doesn't
Little
take much to
sad-looking dog, the
yeah,
tears are
he's out,
flowing.
he's out of there.
You know,
Whereas, you
the
know,
Westlife classic moves me.
yeah, anything
Enough.
really.
Back to your
But
story.
yeah, back to my story.
Yeah.
So I started to cry, and I remember this was me at 18 years old. I was absolutely humiliated. I was just like, oh gosh, I can't believe I'm crying. So everyone started staring at me because I think they thought, oh my gosh, Amy Walker, she's crying. So I was so embarrassed that I closed my eyes. And as I closed my eyes, I felt my friend Amy, another Amy, hold my hand. I thought, that's nice. And it took me a while to regain my composure. You know that moment when you want to stop crying, but you just can't, and you have the bottom lip, and you look really ugly. It's like an ugly cry.
I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah. Obviously on yourself.
Yeah.
So I was crying, and eventually I composed myself. I opened my eyes, I turned around to thank Amy. She wasn't there. In fact, I was just stood in a corner completely on my own. In fact, everyone had gone, which I still can't understand to this day why. But I looked down at my hand, and my hand was in this position. It was like really, really clenched tight. And I felt the pressure of someone holding my hand. And I later found out that Amy, who was the friend I thought was holding my hand, was nowhere near me. And I swear, Matt, and you know the story, that moment was so real to me. And it's a moment that, all the time is such a special moment for me that reminds me of the presence of God, and that we can feel his touch, we can feel his presence in any moment. It might not be that we feel that physical touch that I definitely felt. It might be that we feel it in our emotion. It might be that we feel it in our circumstance, but I felt it. And so there and then I knew that it was a pivot moment, and that actually I couldn't live my life the way I was living it anymore. And so I made a serious commitment to be with Jesus that day. I repented of my sins. I asked for his forgiveness. I asked for him to shape and mold my life. And that was at 18.
Wow. And then you're working that through, but so give us a bit of a view of the last 20 years or so, because you kind of left home at 18, jumped straight into ministry, serving God, although everything's ministry, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
If you're a dustman, you can do that for God. If you're a dentist, you can do that for God. If you're a parent staying at home, you can do that for God. So it all counts.
Yeah.
But you jumped into kind of serving in a Christian organisation, and so just give us a quick flavour of the different places that you've served in before we bring it up today.
Sure, will do. Yeah, I think that's nothing new for my life. God seems to work with me in extremes, and I found myself no sooner saved and no sooner in relationship with Jesus than all of a sudden I was just straight on this track of saying I felt like I was called to ministry. So as you said, I applied for this organisation called Page Project. I felt a real heart for young people. I felt my own story and my own struggles, that I could give something back, and that maybe I could help young people that had gone through similar or same experiences to me. So that was the start of my ministry trajectory, really, working with young people, particularly in quite difficult circumstances, and really feeling drawn to the worst and the least, and then just being Jesus to them. And so throughout those years, I worked for a number of churches, some Anglican churches, Baptist churches, Methodist churches as a youth worker. And then myself and my good friend Pete, we launched an organisation called Pulse Children's and Youth Ministries, which is how I got to know you. And that tours the UK doing evangelism and leadership events.
For children and young people.
Yeah, children and young people and their leaders. So
Yeah.
it helps churches in their approach to children's and young people's work. And it was during those years that obviously the ministry world kind of got that little bit more exposed to me, and there was opportunities for me to speak at different events, opportunities for me to speak at adults and not just children and young people. But like yourself, and one of the many things that we share in common, a deep love for children and young people will never ever leave me.
Yeah.
And so did that for the majority of my ministry and loved it, thrived it, still love it, still thrive on it. Until about 6-7 years ago, God called me to hand over Pulse Children's and Youth Ministries solely to Pete. And it was during a pause moment where I wondered what was next that then the opportunity to lead a church in Scotland came about, which is called Connect Church Paisley. And it was a real left-wing moment. Never considered myself to be a pastor. In fact, didn't want to be a pastor, would steer away from it at any possible moments. But just that unmistakable knock at the door of our heart moment with God said, this is what you need to do. And that is what I did for the last 6 years.
which I know was brand new for you, was really, really tough at times without kind of going into the detail, but saw God do some kind of great things. Can you share with us, like, one great thing that you learned or were grateful for those incredible 6 years? And obviously, having had our Scottish celebration, met some of those people, and they love you, and they're not big fans of me, really.
No.
You know, because obviously, I mean,
they think you stole me.
You had a clear sense that God was calling you to leave even
That's
before
true.
we met. But I think I am still the bad guy, although they were very kind to me when I was in Scotland.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for you. I survived.
You did. You did. But you didn't wear a kilt, did you?
I didn't. Thank you,
no
Jesus.
one wants to see that.
No one wants to see that. They definitely don't. So anyway, so you did that, and now we're married, which is awesome.
It's the best.
Great, God's kindness and stuff to both of us. And I guess people are wondering, like, okay, well, what now? What about this new chapter? And are we co-leading the church? All that kind of stuff. And I guess one of the reasons we wanted to make this little video is because, like, we find ourselves in a position that we didn't think we were going to be in.
Yeah.
In a sense, like, when we felt, both from wise counsel, from friends and families, and our own spiritual directors, and we felt ourselves that we were going to take a good 6 months, 9 months just to pray and just say, okay, God, in terms of ministry, why have you brought us together? What does that mean for Zio? And we'll talk about some of the other things that you're doing as well at the moment. And that, in a sense, still is the case.
Absolutely.
Like, we're still really committed to say, okay, God, in terms of co-ministry, what does that mean? What might that mean for Zio? And what might that mean outside of Zio? And we don't fully know the answers to that.
Yeah.
But some things we found ourselves doing, like co-hosting, the stuff which we're really enjoying. And obviously, Kate has been leading the children's ministry. And because of the great pressure that there has been and continues to be on our pastoral stuff, Kate is now fully released to just focus on that. And we're massively grateful for all that Kate has done in terms of supporting the children's ministry over a couple of years. But together, Amy and I are taking some oversight for the youth and children's stuff just for this season. We don't know how long that will last for, but that releases Kate with our great gratitude for all that she's done for the children's work. To focus on the pastoral stuff, which is so critical at this time. And then we'll be kind of overseeing that youth and children's stuff, which we're passionate about. Yeah. But even that, like, that's just for this season. We don't know how long that's going to last, but we're praying lots and thinking lots. But part of the reason for that is because actually there are some big things that God's doing in and through you, like outside of Zio, that you have responsibilities for. And tell us about that.
Yeah, sure. Well, like yourself, and many will know that, Matt, you have outside roles as well, and not just Zio. So through the story of what I've told you about my ministry life, there's still been opportunities to be itinerant and speak at different Christian events. So that's still very much something that we envision would still be part of my core moving forwards. Of course, in this current climate, that looks a little bit different right now, and we're doing a lot of this kind of stuff. And also, aside from that, one of the things that also developed in the last 6-7 years was an organisation called Kyria, which is a network for women and leaders and in leadership. And that's a network that I'm privileged to head up and be CEO of. So that takes up quite a chunk of my time, and that does conferences around the UK, it resources, it provides opportunities to champion and empower leaders of all spheres. And so if it's not a conference, it's always writing pieces, it's always preparing pieces that will inspire Christian women leaders or senior leaders retreats, etc. So that very much shapes what I'm up to these days, and that takes anything from 1 day a week to 2 days a week, if not more, because it sees me often be away. And Kyria is active in Scotland and Wales and England. It's becoming more and more active in Northern Ireland. It's active in Australia. So it keeps me pretty busy. And so you should check it out, Kyria Network. Just a little plug there.
Nice.
And Connect Church, the church that I've recently had the privilege to hand over, is part of a network of churches called Skylark International. There's lots of churches around the UK. It's a small and growing network, and my time for them over the last 2 years has very much been focused on encouraging the current pastors, but also calling in new pastors and organisations and networks that might want to be considered part of our family. And so I've been working for them 1 day a week as well. And that also sees me travel, it sees me working away and helping to oversee a number of churches and encourage them and their leaders. So pretty busy, really.
Yeah, so like this is a big moment for us, because clearly we see that God's got a call on Amy's life in terms of leading Kyria and playing a key role in Skylark International in terms of supporting other churches. And we are praying about what we might do together, both in Zio, but even outside Zio as well, in the itinerant ministries that we both have. And so just, I guess we just wanted to draw you into that. We're a family, aren't we? And just say, so that, you know, like this is where we're at. You know, we're trying to figure out over the next 6 to 9 months, you know, what God's going to be saying into all of these things. And so we would covet your prayers in that journey. But we hope that this little conversation has been helpful just to get to know Amy a little bit and her story. She's amazing. And but where we're at in terms of ministry, obviously I am leading Zio. It's a great privilege and a joy for me. There are things that we are still praying about and believing about in terms of seeing more Zio churches planted, and other dreams of just lots of things that you'll know if you've been part of the family. And in a sense, like, we're figuring out, well, what does all that mean in the current climate, what lies beyond? But we're praying about that together. And even today, it's been a day of prayer and fasting.
Absolutely,
and you know, we've been really praying again, saying, God, what are you saying? There's that verse, isn't there? I can't remember where, but I know it's in the Old Testament, that says that the men of Issachar, and it could be the women of Issachar as well, understood the times and knew what God was saying that we should do. And I guess all the time, all of us should be coming before God and just saying, God, what's going on in our world, in my world, and what are you asking of me? And I guess we're asking ourselves those questions at the moment, and we just encourage you to as well. If you've got any questions about anything that's been shared on this video, obviously feel free to drop me a note. I'm happy to share. But because we're a family, we just always want to be honest and open. And so I hope that has been helpful.
And I think one of the other reasons why we wanted to do this video as well is we recognise that because of the season that we're in, we can't get to know each other in the usual conventional ways. And we really feel as part of our marriage, don't we, Matt, that we want to have an open home and we want to be able to bless people and have people around for meals and fun socials, etc. And this, sadly, is a season where we can't do that. So you're getting to know me in a virtual way, and we can't form relationships how we usually would. And so
maybe we'll do some videos of like us eating dinner.
Oh, great!
And then we'll show people and just, you know,
people would love that. They tune in from all four corners of the world.
No. You're a very good cook. You could do some like Amy cooking.
Although you did, like, you know, take the mick out of my cookies the other day.
So. I didn't take the mick out. I just shared a factual piece of information that they were lovely and they fell apart.
That's true.
That's just a fact. It wasn't a derogatory comment. It was just a truth.
Fair,
but it didn't alter the fact that they tasted great.
There you go. He's redeemed it. But anyway, all of that to say was what I was saying was that.
Are you trying to cover my knee?
I am, because it's shocking. I'm going to sew them up. In fact, I'm not that kind of wife. Just chuck them away. Bin them.
Mum, will you help?
Anyway, all of that to say, I am looking forward to getting to know Team Zio. I feel like Zio is becoming part of my heart more and more increasingly. It's becoming my passion, not just because it's what you do, because it's where God has called me. And so I look forward to getting to know people as we go. And although we can't get to know people in the way that we'd like to at this current moment, and you can't get to know me in more normal ways, we look forward to that for the future, really, and hope this helps really to give you a bit of an insight into who I am, into what I do in a wider context.
Next time we do this, we'll be delving more deeply into Amy's secret sins, but that will be a 10-part serialization, 2 hours each part, because it will take so long.
Great, thanks for that.
Thankfully, Jesus forgives us. The slate is wiped clean.
Good job too, eh?
Good job too for all of us. All of us. We're all in the same boat, aren't we? Anyway, listen, genuinely, we love you. It's great to be in this together, even though what we're in is not great. But God is with us; He's for us. So let's do it with Him.